Welcome back. This is Janine Marie. It's such a pleasure to have you with me here. I am so happy to have you. We're continuing the discussion about past life regression and healing hypnotherapy, and I'm going into some of the emotional, mental aspects of how that type of hypnotherapy can help you. But first, I have to line up some of the scenarios that can happen emotionally and mentally that will eventually translate to something physical if we let it go long enough, because everything that's emotional has a physical component to it, or a physical illness component to it eventually, if it's not cared for. So this is very, very important. And we live in a world where we're still not at a place where we're taking care of our mental health or our emotional well-being, because to be emotional, to feel that emotion and to bring it out and to share it or to show it is a sign of weakness in our world for some reason, when actually, when you reverse it, showing emotion, crying over things that are really heart-wrenching, whether they're happening to you or happening to others, is actually a show of strength, because it gives you strength once you are done with the crying, with the release. Release brings healing. It keeps it from piling up inside. And that's what I want to get to from the beginning. We're going to talk about, number one, the seed that grows inside of us when something is planted. So there can be something that is planted inside of us at a very early age. And I'm going to begin with the seed of abandonment. And if it's not dealt with, that seed that's planted can grow and spawn out with roots. It can grow deep. It can become anchored and then spawn out with branches that will branch out into every area of your life. I kid you not, every area of your life. So I'm beginning with abandonment because I went through those feelings of abandonment. I've had to go through that path of healing because of it. And the mass majority of the people that I've dealt with, when I had the Lilac Center in California especially, always had that seed of abandonment. And I believe that many, many, many of us do. And because we go on with our lives, we grow up, we go on, we go to work, we take care of our children, we become adults, we don't deal with it. We are distracted by just the things that are swirling around in our lives. And a lot of these things that are happening, we're wondering why? Why is this happening to me? And it's because some of the seeds that have been planted very early on in life and even in a past life have not been dealt with, and it has to be pulled out by the root. And the only way to do that is to expose it. Roots will not grow if they're exposed to, out of the ground and out of the soil that they actually thrive in. Okay, they thrive in dark soil. So the seed of abandonment can come from having parents who are either arguing, and maybe as a child, you're in your bedroom and they're arguing and you can't do anything about it because you're young or you're not supposed to be involved in that. You feel abandoned because you can't be a part of the dynamic of the family when there's a lot of upheaval going on. And then you might have a parent that goes in and out of the relationship. So that feeling of abandonment happens continually. You're like, oh, they're gone. I feel abandoned. Where are they? And how is this going to affect me? How are they going to take care of me? When am I going to see them again? There are these fears that start to actually begin to become the roots that spawn from that seed. And maybe they come back for a period of time and find out it's not working. Now, this is not to say that parents that, especially when they have a lot of children or even just one, are supposed to stay together for the sake of the children. If the parents are miserable, the children are going to be miserable. Okay, but there are ways to handle a type of breakup or divorce that won't make or cause children to feel that feeling of abandonment, okay? But unfortunately, not everyone is amicable, enough to do it that way. So especially back, further in history, it wasn't talked about. Divorce was a dirty word, and family problems were kept inside the home and it wasn't discussed. We didn't go to counseling. We didn't go to therapy. We didn't have mediation. There weren't any of those things because we hid everything. And that's the way it was. So if one parent ends up leaving the household and you don't see that parent very much, or maybe not at all, that seed of abandonment becomes something that's going to grow into a tree of misery if it's not dealt with as soon as possible, as soon as the child, teenager, young adult becomes awakened and aware. You need to become awakened and aware to the things that are going on inside of you and how those things can be dealt with. And they need to be dealt with in a way where they can be given a voice. And we're going to talk about that later on as well, just not in this video. But what happens is when you have that seed of abandonment, you start to wonder, you don't really know that this is going on. You go on in your life, you grow up, you get a job. In my case, that's what I did. And you start attracting these relationships that are just as tumultuous as the one that you came from and that you grow up with. Now, this is not about my parents, okay? I love my parents. I adore them. They both gave me some beautiful aspects of themselves, and I'm eternally grateful for everything they gave me. But I just want to use this particular part of it to explain how abandonment can really, really affect your life in many, many ways. So it wasn't dealt with for me, in particular, and most people don't. So we start to attract, like I said, relationships that are exactly like that. And so I couldn't figure out, and I've heard many, many people, not just women, but men also tell me, I can't figure out why I keep attracting the same type of person, only in a different body. And I've heard really bad advice. Stay with this particular relationship, because if you don't work through that relationship itself, you're going to keep attracting that same bad relationship. Bad advice. The relationship you need to work on is the one with you, with yourself, because you cannot have a relationship or a relation that is actually sailing correctly in still waters unless you heal the relationship that's within you. And that takes a whole village. That takes your God, your source, the one that is, the oversoul, the higher self, your guides, your guardians, your master you aspire to. It takes counselors or therapists or your hypnotherapist. How about that? It can take a lot. So for me, having those relationships bounce in and out of my life in an early life or early time in my life was just so devastating. I thought something was just incurably wrong with me. The only thing that was wrong with me is I had that seed, and it was spawning and growing with each passing relationship. Because it started as relationship, and like attracts like, that's how it kind of went through the timetable. Every relationship had some of the same dynamics as my parents did when they were upset with each other. And it had a lot of the good things as well. We don't just attract the difficult things, we attract the good things too. So, life for me had some good aspects, some beautiful aspects to it. But the hard things, the really deep-seated emotional things, were the things that needed to be dealt with, and they were not, because I didn't have the wherewithal. A lot of other people didn't as well. And so they started coming to me. I started attracting all of these people, especially women that had the same issue. And they're like, what do I do? Where is this coming from? Oh, I have this terrible backache. Where's that coming from? And I so wanted to help them. And I believe I did the best that I possibly could. But when you have something inside of yourself that you have not yet dealt with because you're not awakened and aware, and you're in a position where you're in helping fields, you can't really assist someone in those same scenarios, can you? You almost need somebody that has come all the way through it. And that is the gravy for me. When I was introduced to QHHT, or quantum healing hypnosis technique, it's a past life regression. It is also a healing hypnotherapy. That was gravy to me, because then I could see, it's like a magnifying glass started to open up. I had all of this, all of my life. It was like a life review that started to flood into my life, just learning how to become a practitioner. And through that life review, I realized I didn't deal with this particular thing or that other particular thing. Okay, so when you have a seed of abandonment, it can also come up with abandoning friends that leave you. It can show up as jobs that don't accept you, or maybe they accept you and for no reason you're fired. You feel abandoned by your employer. In the church situation that I spoke of, I felt like they abandoned me because I had so much going on. I was a single mom with 5 kids, and it felt like they actually abandoned me. They didn't care for my spiritual needs. They weren't caring for some of the physical needs that I needed to just help me get through, life, food, clothing, things like that. Back in those days, those early days of, I think my youngest was not even walking yet. And, it was a struggle every single day of my life. And I felt abandoned every single day of my life. Who wanted to be around that situation? It was just so hard for me. And a lot of the angst that I was going through transferred over into friendships. And it made it very difficult to have friendships. So I had them, but I kept them in arm's length, because it was like bringing more of their stuff into what I was going through was just too overwhelming. So even if it was initiated by me, I just can't do this right now, it felt like abandonment. So, and let's take this scenario. Someone takes your job. That is abandonment. And your job, your employer kicks you out because someone took your job. Your friend took your job. Your friend backstabbed you and took something that belonged to you. Your friend came in and took your relationship because they lured that relationship away from you, because out of the scars of people's hearts, those things happen, and those things translate into abandonment. So how do we deal with this? You can go through a hypnotherapy session and you can talk through those things with your hypnotherapist. And mind you, when someone is operating as a QHHT practitioner, they are not a clinical therapist. They are not acting as a medical professional either. So, they can't really give you advice, but the advice comes from your higher self. The wisdom comes from higher places. And a lot of the excavation of the stuff comes from you, because in that heightened state of hypnosis, in that very deep state of hypnosis, the subconscious mind is able to come and take over. It carries everything that you have gone through in this life and past lives. Your subconscious carries the key to some of those elements that are dug down deep inside of you. They become soul scars. And the only way to heal them is to rip those things open by verbally allowing those things to come out. That is the easiest way. That's why I love this process. You can go to a therapist or a counselor and you can pay them and you can go back several times and, maybe for years and still not feel like you have gained the healing that you need. But remember, you are a magnet. You are somebody who attracts, and your soul attracts things to it in order to reveal things into your life and also to show you the lessons that you need to learn and also teach others. When you learn a lesson, when you are set free, you teach others, i.e., okay? This is what we do, is we teach others when we learn how to set ourselves free and what works for us. I know what works for me. I know it has been spectacular. I'm not even near most of practitioner 2 or that level for QHHT. And I'm still having like life reviews going through my life and dreams that are coming through my life. Don't allow abandonment to steal from you. It's the enemy, not the people that might have played the part that caused it. But it is the enemy that is robbing you of the life that you deserve. So think about what you really deserve in life. You deserve everything. Now, I'm talking very blatant to you. I'm very direct because I want you to get this. You deserve the very, very best. There's something inside of you when you've gone through abandonment that says, I don't deserve anything. Nothing works, so I must not deserve it. That is a lie. And I want to pull that root out right now and tell you over and over and over, you deserve the very, very best in life. So let's work on attracting that. Stick with me because I want to see you have all of that. There's so much more I can talk about regarding abandonment, but I don't want this video to go on really too long. It takes almost all day or all afternoon just to get it to process and get it uploaded. So plus, I need to feed it to you just one seed at a time. We need some good stuff, one seed at a time. A lot of you are looking at this and you're saying, oh, I know what that means. I have that. I've gone through that. I'm attracting that. I don't want that anymore. I deserve better. You can do it through meditation as well. There's a way to do that, so stick with me. We're going to go through all of that. It's going to take some time, but if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're in Texas, you're close to Cleburne, Texas, or at least within 45 minutes or so, come and spend the afternoon with me. I would love to have you. I am a level 1 practitioner. I can give you the beginning of what can be a beautiful rest of your life. So with that, I just want to say, have a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll talk to you again real soon, and I'm loving you from here. Bye-bye.